Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today. I got a lot of them on my to-do list. Some videos planned over the next few weeks. I saw Dendel last night. We're going to have an interview coming up for you in a little over a week. She recorded a music video not too long ago, and that's going to be coming out in about a week. So we're going to talk about that and a few other things. But today we're going to document another site in Turkey. Once again down here, Gobekli Tepe, the Sanliurfa area, the Valley Chorai, a few other sites I have talked about recently. Last video was on Kortik Tepe right here. Today we're going to talk about another site in that region. It's called Gusir Höyük, and this site goes back to the 10th millennium BC. But let me show you exactly where this is. It's near I think what they call the upper Tigris River here. But this is Gusir Höyük, and there is a settlement here that goes back over 12,000 years. There was a few different periods of history uncovered here. Here you see the ancient mound, and I think right down here you see another area where it appears some stone circles were unearthed, and we're going to talk about those. But there was pillars here, maybe T-shaped pillars, or what became T-shaped pillars. Well, maybe. Seems like a very good guess at least. But there's not much on YouTube about this at all, and I just thought these are important sites to cover. When looking at this whole area, you got to be thorough, and I really learned that in my Egypt Pyramid series and my Shroud videos. You got to be thorough, you got to look at everything and let the picture kind of develop on its own. But here is an area that goes back 12,000 years, has ruins here that maybe we can see led up to the Gobekli Tepe building period, but let's just do a little reading. Now here is a translated website from Atlas de Jersey, and I will leave a link below. It says, Gusir Höyük, Gusir, resident hunters. The first traces of settled life in the upper Tigris basin were reached at Gusir Höyük. People lived in round pit huts, and they were hunters. They put obelisks inside the houses and sent off their dead with stone jewelry. The displacement of climate zones around 14,000 years ago will have an impact on the natural environment. Glaciers begin to melt and sea levels rise accordingly. Pressure centers place while hot and cold water currents change directions. First of all, vegetation and then animal species adapt. The impact of this change on the environment is more intense and less experienced in some places. This process accompanies or even determines the emergence of settled life, one of the most important transformations in human history. The earliest stages of the Neolithic age and thus settled life, where and when this way of life emerged, are among the subjects that prehistoric archaeology emphasizes the most. The answers to these questions are sought especially in the Near East, especially in the two major rivers that give life to the region, the Euphrates and Tigris basins. But just finishing the reading here, it says, as it can be seen from the sections formed on the shore of Lake Gusir, the fill height of the mound reaches 8 meters, while surface finds are spread over an area of 150 meters in diameter. According to the few radiocarbon measurements, Gusir Höyük dates back to the early 10th millennium BC. These dates indicate the mound was inhabited during the early Neolithic period, and therefore during the pre-pottery Neolithic age, which represents the first stages of the mound. And there was pottery found here, but they found here that this settlement went back many centuries. Excavation areas at different levels created by using the slope of the terrace overlooking Gusir Lake make it easier to understand the stratification of the mound. It says the excavation area was flattened for horticultural purposes years ago, and an archaeological fill of approximately 2 meters was shaved. The newest remains in this section are the skeletons in the simple grave pit that descend into the older fillings. The necker beads of strings of beads are found on the sides of the deads lying in the fetal position, while round or oval-shaped marble slabs reflecting an advanced stonework are found here. Serpentine stone inlays were made on the marble slabs, and 2 holes were drilled in their centers. These holes suggest that the stones are attached to a garment or belt or directly to the body. Here it says 2 major streams, the places where the Batman and the Botan creeks converge to the Tigris, were the ideal prehistoric settlements. Kortik Tepe was founded where the Batman stream reached the Tigris, while the Gusir mound is in an area where the Botan and Tigris are close to each other. Botan crosses the deep canyons and joins it near the Slurt at a point where the Tigris turns south. Here is an area of the settlement. The Gusir Mound gives an idea of the settlement. There is a central square structure with rounded corners and rectangular spaces attached to it. With this appearance, one of the structures resembling a clover has a diameter of 10 meters in the center. But here it says there's evidence of transitioning from circular to rectangular square structures. Here is a look across at the settlement, and the Kavakazu Creek in the area, it said, provides an opportunity for gardening in the land. And I'm sure this mound had some importance to the culture here. Here are some of the numerous beads that were found near the hip part of the burials. Here is a look at some of the archaeological work, and I believe this is from 2009. Excavation has gone on here for quite a while. Here is one of the circular structures at Gusir Höyük. You notice the obelisks here were these T-shaped pillars at one time. Well, the fact that they had obelisks in these stone circular structures I think is important. Also found here, stone boats. And I have talked about stone boats from really ancient places in Egypt, and they had symbolic meaning as far as the afterlife and getting there. Stone boats were found here. That, I think, is very important. Here is an object found with one of the burials, inlaid with small serpentine stones and shaped by hard rock. And this is one of the most unique finds of the Neolithic age, it says here. Now here were some vessels found here, and there seems to be some confusion with the term pre-pottery Neolithic. And that seems to be in areas like Gobekli Tepe, in places where they just seem to go and learn and do whatever they did there. They weren't living areas. Here is one of the obelisks that were found here. That's what they call them. Some were decorated. Here you see the small holes in it. But these here, it seems, they theorize that this transitioned into what? The Gobekli Tepe building period. It says the obelisk, which is about 1.5 meters high, can be considered as one of the pioneers of the monumental obelisk tradition, which is known especially from Gobekli Tepe and the Nabali Chorai settlements. Some other stonework, some of them have symbols on them, maybe a spider. But here it says on chlorite plates, which are among the outstanding finds of the period, geometric patterns as well as motifs that can be snakes are found. But I find this really interesting, and since there was stone boats found here and they have to do with the afterlife, I can't help but wonder if there isn't an Orion symbolism here in traveling the celestial river to the afterlife. I just wonder. Now here is another pic, and I know this is small, but it says wild sheep skulls found in some houses reflect another ritual of the Neolithic age. And I know I did a video from Çatalhöyük where I believe they had the horns in some of the houses there too. That site going back at least to 7000 BC, I believe. But I just thought I would cover this place. We have pillars called obelisk. We have some very cool stonework. Symbolism. These people were trying to tell a story. They buried their dead in ritualistic fashion. It seemed they believed in the afterlife. Stone boats, pillars, circular structures. Well, when putting together the story of this region, I just thought I would cover this place. It seems very important. I don't know, not much on this place on YouTube, so certainly worth a video. But that is the story of very ancient Gusir Höyük. Seems people were living a pretty sophisticated life here, at least a lot more sophisticated than we are led to believe, over 12,000 years ago. And then it seems like these people of this whole area picked Gobekli Tepe as a central pilgrimage area, maybe 5-7 centuries down the line, and started that place. But it seemed this whole region gave birth to civilization as we know it in this era. I think these places are important to cover. Hope you thought that was interesting. You all have a very nice day.